What if thinking about losing everything you love could actually make you happier? Sounds backwards, right? But the Stoics did this every single day, and it made them mentally unshakable. This practice is called negative visualization. It's not about being pessimistic, it's about being prepared. And it might change your entire relationship with happiness. Let me explain. Welcome back to Stoic Pathways. Today we're talking about one of the most misunderstood Stoic practices, negative visualization. People hear the name and think it's about being negative, being depressed, expecting the worst. It's none of those things. Negative visualization is a mental exercise the Stoics use to build gratitude, reduce anxiety, and prepare for hardship. Today I'm breaking down exactly what it is, why it works, and how to practice it yourself. Let's dive in. What is negative visualization? Here's the practice in simple terms. You imagine losing something you value, your health, your money, your relationships, your home, even your life. You don't just think about it casually. You actually visualize it in detail. What would it feel like? How would you cope? What would change? Seneca wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare. Then say to yourself, is this the condition that I feared?" The Stoics didn't wait for bad things to happen. They rehearsed them mentally, every day. Marcus Aurelius would wake up in his palace surrounded by luxury and power, and he'd imagine losing all of it, being exiled, being defeated in battle, dying alone. Why? Because he knew everything is temporary. Everything you have will eventually be taken from you, either slowly or suddenly, either fairly or unfairly. That's just reality. Most people avoid thinking about loss. They distract themselves. They pretend bad things won't happen to them. The Stoics did the opposite. They faced loss directly, in their minds, before it happened in reality. This sounds depressing, but here's what actually happens when you practice it. You become grateful, prepared, and free. Why it makes you more grateful? Here's the problem with human psychology. We adapt to everything. You get a new phone. It's amazing for a week. Then it's normal. You get a promotion. You're excited for a month. Then it's just your job. You start a relationship. It's magical at first. Then you take them for granted. This is called hedonic adaptation. We get used to good things and stop appreciating them. Negative visualization breaks this pattern. When you imagine losing your phone, suddenly you appreciate having it. When you imagine being fired, suddenly you're grateful for your job. When you imagine your partner dying, suddenly you notice all the small things you love about them. Epictetus taught his students to look at their loved ones and think, tomorrow they could be gone. Not to be morbid, to pay attention, to be present, to stop taking people for granted. He said, never say about anything, I have lost it, but rather, I have given it back. Think about this. Right now, you have things you didn't have 5 years ago. Your current phone, your current home, maybe relationships that didn't exist. You were fine without those things before. You'd be fine without them again. But while you have them, I appreciate them. That's what negative visualization teaches. Gratitude through awareness of impermanence. Why it reduces anxiety. Most anxiety comes from fear of the unknown. You're afraid of losing your job, getting sick, being rejected, failing publicly. These fears live in your imagination as vague threats. They feel enormous, overwhelming, paralyzing. Negative visualization takes those vague fears and makes them specific, manageable, less powerful. Here's how it works. Let's say you're anxious about money. Instead of just feeling a general dread, you ask specific questions. What if I lost my job tomorrow? Could I survive? Yes. I could move somewhere cheaper, get a different job, ask for help. It wouldn't be fun, but I'd survive. What if I lost all my savings? Could I rebuild? Yes. I've built them once. I could do it again. It would take time, but it's possible. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. By imagining the worst-case scenario, you realize two things. First, you could handle it. Second, it's probably not as bad as your vague anxiety makes it seem. Your imagination creates monsters. Negative visualization turns those monsters into manageable problems. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Begin each day by telling yourself, 'Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness.'" He didn't hope for the best. He prepared for the worst. And when bad things happened, they didn't surprise him. They didn't break him. He'd already faced them, mentally. Anxiety thrives on surprise. Negative visualization eliminates surprise. Why it prepares you for real hardship. Here's what happens when you never think about loss. When it finally comes, you're devastated. You freeze. You don't know what to do. You thought you were immune. The Stoics knew better. They knew bad things happen to everyone. The only question is when. So they trained for it. Modern military uses the same principle. Soldiers train in simulated combat. They practice being shot at, being injured, being in chaos. Why? So when it happens for real, they don't panic. They've been there before, mentally. Their training kicks in. Negative visualization is mental combat training for life. Seneca practiced what he called poverty training. Once a month, he'd sleep on a hard floor, wear cheap clothes, eat plain food. He'd live like he'd lost everything. Then he'd return to his normal life and think, "Is this what I was afraid of?" It wasn't that bad. He was removing the fear of poverty by experiencing a version of it voluntarily. You don't need to be that extreme, but you can practice mentally. Imagine your car breaks down, your phone gets stolen, you lose your job, your relationship ends. Walk through it step by step. What would you do first? Second? Third? Now, when and if it happens, you're not starting from zero. You've already thought it through. You have a plan. The Stoics didn't practice negative visualization to be pessimistic. They practiced it to be ready. How to actually practice it. Here's your practical guide. Start small. Don't imagine your own death on day one. Begin with minor losses. Spend 2 minutes each morning on this exercise. Pick one thing you value. Your phone, your coffee, your comfortable bed, your car, your routine. Now imagine losing it. Not forever, just temporarily. Be specific. Example, what if my phone broke today? Visualize it. You can't text, can't check social media, can't take photos, can't navigate. How would you handle it? You'd borrow someone's phone to make important calls. You'd remember directions or ask people. You'd be present instead of distracted. You'd survive. You'd adapt. Maybe you'd even enjoy the break. Now look at your phone. It's still here, working. You didn't lose it. Feel that? That's gratitude. That's what negative visualization creates. Do this with different things. Your job, your health, your relationships. Always ask, could I survive without this? The answer is always yes. Humans are incredibly adaptable. We survive things we never thought we could. Here's the advanced practice. Once a week, spend 5 minutes imagining your own death. I know that sounds dark, but it's the most powerful version of this exercise. If you died tomorrow, what would you regret? What would you wish you'd done differently? Who would you wish you'd appreciated more? Now act on those insights while you're still alive, while you still can. So that's negative visualization. It's not about being negative. It's about being realistic. Everything you have is temporary. Everyone you love will eventually be gone, including you. That's not pessimism. That's true. And when you face that truth directly, something incredible happens. You stop taking things for granted. You stop drowning in anxiety about losing things. You start appreciating what you have. Right now, today. The Stoics weren't miserable. They were some of the most grateful, peaceful, and resilient people in history because they practiced negative visualization, because they prepared their minds for reality, not the fantasy that everything will be perfect, the reality that everything changes, everything ends. And that's okay. Here's your homework. Tomorrow morning, Spend 2 minutes imagining losing one thing you value. Walk through it. How would you cope? Then look at that thing and appreciate that you still have it. That's it. 2 minutes. Do it every day for a week. Then come back and tell me how it changed your perspective. If you want more Stoic practices that actually work in real life, subscribe to Stoic Pathways. We turn ancient philosophy into modern tools. Now, go practice some negative visualization. Your future self will thank you.